The Iranians know this. They've seen this. And so over the years, they've developed certain capabilities. They've evaluated our ability to detect and our ability to respond. They recognize that the moment their missiles take off, that the United States and Israel will be made aware of that fact. They understand that if these missiles fly on a traditional ballistic trajectory, that they will be surveilled, targeted, and intercepted successfully so. And so Iran has developed certain capabilities, such as separating warheads, so that as the missile body comes up and it's detected initially, the warhead separates, and now the radar has to discriminate against the main body of the missile and a smaller warhead. And traditional algorithms, that have been programmed in focus on the main body, so missiles will now be sent like striking a derelict piece of space debris while the maneuvering warhead comes in. But now the maneuvering warhead can be detected. The X-band radar is very capable. So as the maneuvering warhead comes in, it does things such as change its trajectory so that you can't do a traditional algorithm driven. The object is flying at this speed on this particular trajectory with ballistic factors. We can intercept it. Now it's maneuvering, it's changing, and the system has to catch up to that. And then what it can do is the Iranians on this warhead have a engine built in, so at the last second, the engine can fire, changing the trajectory of it, which throws everything off. They also build a warhead that comes in and then fires out a series of decoys that go around the warhead and create multiple targets that overwhelm the system while the warhead itself maneuvers in and strikes the target. So Iran was developing this. What we saw on the 14th was Iran fired missiles that broke through the most sophisticated air defense system in the world and touched Nevatim, and touched it in a way that the people understood that they had been touched. They struck the runway in two spots, center mass, taking that runway out. Now, if they had come in and hit it with 20 missiles up and down the runway, they would have taken it out permanently. They didn't do that. They just said, we can hit this runway anytime we want to. They hit a warehouse. They hit 3 other facilities, center mass, meaning they didn't miss their target. They also struck air defense systems. For instance, at least 2 Iron Dome systems were taken out. Israel won't talk about this, but you see the evidence on the video. You see the Iron Dome missiles firing. These are the missiles that I talked about that shoot out the decoys. You see them coming in. They shoot the decoys. The Iron Dome gets saturated, saturates the decoys. Meanwhile, the maneuvering warhead comes in. And at the last second, you can see on the video where the warhead tips up, comes in for the final attack, hitting it direct. Iran has sent a signal to the United States and to Israel that your missile defenses don't work, that we can hit any place we want, any time we want, with as much firepower as we want. We opted not to do it this time because all we're doing is setting a deterrence posture. We're letting you know that if you ever attack us again, we will strike you and you can't stop us. That's the most important aspect about this. The most heavily defended space on the earth in terms of anti-ballistic missile capability was struck successfully by the Iranians using the very missiles that this system was designed to defeat.
And I guess when I say devastating, I mean metaphorically, because to me that is how devastating this is, right? You're sending this clear message. We're not going to wipe out the entire runway. And I know from Israeli sources that they've already got a truck over there. They already patched the runway. So yeah, it was to show you we can hit you and you can't stop us. And that is devastating when we hear about the Iron Dome and the great capabilities of all of this. So Scott, I'll get you out of here on this. We talk about this sort of political posturing, the narcissism of both of these leaders right now. What do you think is going to happen over the next 48 hours? Or if anything, do you think that there will be a massive Israeli response, and do you think the United States will involve itself in it?
Benjamin Netanyahu is a desperate man right now, so it's very difficult to do predictive analysis because desperation is irrational. Most predictive analysis is drawn from rational, logical, analysis. Let me make it clear. Israel cannot successfully attack Iran by itself. Israel has a handful of Jericho missiles that it can fire and they can reach Iran. But, the Iranian nuclear capability, because that seems to be the principal target, is very well dug in and has been dispersed in a way that it can't be taken out in a single strike. Israel could launch a few of these Jerichos. Israel could try and get some of its F-35Is over Iranian airspace. But the danger here is the F-35 in itself is a deterrent. The mere fact that Israel has F-35Is is meant to deter people from doing things. If Israel projects F-35Is into Iranian airspace, there's a very good chance that a significant number of these fighters will be lost. They'll be shot down, pilots captured or killed. And the myth of the invulnerability of the F-35 will have been broken. And that's not good for Israel, and that's not good for the United States. And so I believe the United States is telling Israel that we aren't going to be there for you. You're not going to get the refueling aircraft that you think you're going to get. You're not going to get clearance over Saudi Arabia or Turkey. You're going to be going it alone, overflying Jordan, overflying Iraq in a very predictable route. The Iranians are going to be there waiting for you, and then they're going to come in, and it's going to be hammer time in Israel. And there's nothing we can do to help you. We can't stop the Iranians from attacking you, and the next time they attack, they're going to kill you, all of you. It will be very bad for Israel. We don't want that. Unfortunately, desperate politicians often like to say, well, you're bluffing. They're bluffing. They'll never do that. You'll never abandon us. You'll be compelled to come in. I don't know what's driving these Israeli politicians. If it was genuinely the national security of Israel, then they'd call it a day and just, set back and maybe start carrying out more aggressive proxy, hybrid warfare against Iran. That's what I would do if I were the Israelis. But these are desperate people who understand that if Netanyahu goes down, they lose their governing coalition, this far right wing part of Israeli political spectrum. They'll never govern again. It'll be over for them. And so they're desperate to hold on to power. And right now, the posture of being prepared to strike Iran, they deem to be the most domestically political viable posture for them. So this is very dangerous. I have to tell you that I don't know what the future is. Normally, I like to give you a bold prediction,
right?
But right now, I can't, and I'm actually scared because the consequences as an American. I believe in humanity. I don't want harm to anybody. But if Israel and Iran want to slit their respective throats, that's their business. We can, as Americans, step in and say, we don't think this is a good idea. We think this is bad policy, etc. But if at the end of the day, you want to do that, that's your business. But as an American, the consequences that will accrue, the detrimental consequences that will accrue to my country, my people, my nation, will be horrific. And it won't be a nuclear war for us, but it might as well be, because the economic collapse that will happen when we don't have the fuel, do you remember that strike in Long Beach, California, when the trucks weren't getting out and what was happening to the American economy, the price of diesel, the availability of diesel, the lack of food and products in the market? That's just a whiff. That's a hint of what will happen if Israel attacks Iran and this becomes a regional conflict where the energy security of the world is not just put at risk, but collapses. This will be devastating. The American people don't understand. For all those people out there shouting, we need to stand with Israel, the Iranians know this. They've seen this. And so over the years, they've developed certain capabilities. They've evaluated our ability to detect and our ability to respond. They recognize that the moment their missiles take off, that the United States and Israel will be made aware of that fact. They understand that if these missiles fly on a traditional ballistic trajectory, that they will be surveilled, targeted, and intercepted successfully.